Hello, everyone. Greetings from the Biomedical College for Girls. In today's podcast series, we are pleased to have Professor Samar Ahmed with us. Professor Samar Ahmed is currently the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at the Biomedical College. Prof. Samar Ahmed is also a consultant in forensic medicine and a renowned personality in medical education. Prof. Samar Ahmed is a fellow of FIMER and an international faculty. She also is a fellow of KI Prime, and Prof. Samar has multiple publications in health profession education and is equally renowned in the field of forensic medicine. So in the first series of e-learning innovation at DMCG, I've got this. Prof. Samar will be taking us today on a journey where she will be discussing about the educational technologies and how institutes decide on adopting these technologies. So this is the series that DMCG will be conducting on teaching, technology-enhanced teaching, learning, and assessment. So Prof. Samar, welcome to the show, and in this podcast, take us to the journey about the technology-enhanced learning, teaching, assessment, and the educational innovation decisions, how the institutes go about it. Prof. Samar?
Thank you so much for having me, and I wish this innovative trend that is coming out of the MCG to become really successful. So I wish you all the success, and happy to be the first on the series. And thank you so much, Dr. Shifan, for all the effort getting this off the ground. Let me just give a very, very brief introduction about why we are speaking why we're talking about what we are talking about today, and what's the value of this. We're all in universities finding every day new innovations being placed on our tables. So much is out there, and we're all happy to jump and grab opportunities. And then there are many types of people inside the organization. Some of them are really happy to jump at the opportunity and start and work with it. Others are really dragging behind. Some are in the middle. So it's like a whole spectrum of acceptability of whether we use or not to use technology. The real problem that we have identified, and let's not call it a problem, but maybe rather a challenge, whether or not it's just acceptability that mandates and dictates whether or not we take these innovations on board. When we speak about this, it's very important to take a look at the past 3 years. The past 3 years for all of us have been like a leap into space. We have seen a lot of things that we haven't been exposed to before, and people have opted to actually engaging and adopting the innovations and adopting the changes because they had no other choice. But then 3 years into this leap of faith, we need to stand there and just reevaluate all the changes that have been done over the past 3 years with the initiation of this COVID era, as they call it. Whether or not now, after we have adopted all these technologies and all these innovations and all these changes, where we are now, whether or not we want to continue as we are, what are the learning experiences or the learning messages that we have taken out of the past experience. Not just that, if you take a look at all medical schools worldwide, you will always see the medical school in a transformation, either changing from a curriculum that is not competency-based to a curriculum that's competency-based, or maybe changing from a 5-year curriculum to a 6-year curriculum, or from a 6-year curriculum to a 5-year curriculum. All of these changes are happening all over the world, and directed and maybe mandated by different country visions. So the question is, are we making these proper decisions the proper way they should be made? When do we stand there and just reevaluate the decisions that we have done? And when do we tell ourselves that maybe this is not working, let's move back, or let's get rid of this change, for example. So this is why we have initiated this series with this talk. Maybe to be an eye-opener and maybe discuss together how we can actually make informed decisions about this.
So teaching technology enhanced learning, technology enhanced assessment, and technology enhanced teaching. Are these different, or were we using the same term in different forms and we didn't know that actually they're going in the same stream? How much of this innovation in technology is being used at universities as present? Because you have the experience, you have the expertise, you have been to many countries, and you have work with reputed institutes. So how much of technology do you think has been adopted till now?
Okay, it's a very interesting question, and thank you for asking this, Dr. Shifan. You and I have always been in discussions, continuous discussions in meeting about how much are we using this technology, and do we really need it at the moment? I mean, this is the continuous discussion that there is out there. So I would not answer your question by taking a look at universities and taking a look at the technologies that they have purchased, or the technologies that they say they are using. Because we all know that applicability and utility are two different issues. So it's not really mandated by whether or not my faculty can use the technology. The thing is, are they really using the technology? The other thing is this technology adoption really impacting the quality of education or not? So I think this is the continuous discussion that needs to happen inside schools, and it's kind of the conscious, you call it the conscious of the institution, that they need to really have this discussion ongoing. Because when we do adopt some kind of technology, a degree of disruption happens, whether we like it or not. This disruption entails that there needs to be training happening, there needs to be change of mindset happening, and we need to be continuously testing where we are on the spectrum of utility and acceptability for our faculty and our students. So this is a task, it's a project in itself. So we really need to continue asking ourselves whether or not we need this degree of disruption in our lives at this specific time. So maybe for example, you would see universities across the world using some kind of technology for assessment. I won't specifically name specific companies, but we all know that there are examination softwares going out there, and people are using them and trying to use this and maybe match it with another technology and see which is better. So this is happening all over the world. The question is, are we using this examination software to its maximum? When do we introduce it? When we introduce it, are we really ready to start managing the disruption that happens when we introduce this software into our lives? So we could be seeing a very good technology out there that is, we're hearing that it's really good, it's working, it's beautiful, it brings out beautiful metrics, and we would like to see the reports that come out of it. But the question is, if I introduce it at this specific time, is this the time for it? Is there institutional capacity to start dealing with the disruption and the change, or will this cause more chaos in the institution? So these are the kinds of discussions that we want to always have open.
So, Prof, what have been the faculty perceptions and attitudes towards technology enhanced learning, or for adopting the technology being, and are students okay, especially medical students? What is their perception and attitude towards adopting technology?
Yeah. So it's different in different parts of the world. I worked in many countries, and I have partners in many countries, and it looks like it's not set in stone, and it's different. Different people are different institutions are different, institutional size is very important. Big universities, in my opinion, they suffer more when we try to introduce new innovations or technologies. Smaller universities, they adopt easier. What I can see here at DMCG is that people are ready to jump on board and ready to grab the opportunities to learn new technologies and to actually deploy them and utilize them. I don't know, maybe this is because we are a rather smaller establishment, and maybe our faculty are also better versed than others in terms of technology, and we have an e-learning unit that is doing all it can to get people prompted and aware all the time. It's different in different types of places of the world, but the general observation is that students are ready more and earlier than faculty to jump on board and adopt technology, and we're just trying to maybe run after them, catch them, and maybe have our place in the race, but students are more prompt to do that.
Right. So, as I understand, that you have adopted, let's say, not whatever is available in the market, but what is best fitted for your institute. So, while discussing, we just mentioned some of the modalities that are currently in use, like you have your online learning platform, which is being accessed by the students and faculty, suppose for course materials and to participate in discussions and to submit assignments. And I believe that all the assessments are done through the same online platform, and it's managed by certain softwares, like you have a proctoring device installed, so I believe Respondus was being used, and so all these things took shape through COVID era, let me say. Then video conferencing was one thing, classes, synchronous, asynchronous, Zoom, Microsoft Teams that took over, and not to forget about the simulation and virtual environment that you are offering to your students. So what is the role of simulation that DMCG is adopting? I heard a lot about the Sim Center and what work you've been doing with introducing virtual patients and simulation-based education.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And actually, I do invite you at one point of time to maybe have a podcast with the Simulation Center. I think DMCG has now is now hosting a state-of-the-art simulation center that is very well equipped and very well versed to the educational needs of the institution. It's in continuous evolution, and as you just highlighted, we do have softwares that are installed there to improve the virtual patient experience for all our clinical students. So all our clinical students are exposed to, I won't say the name of the software, but we do have a virtual patient laboratory that students are really utilizing. They are utilizing, let me say this, 100% of our students are exposed to the virtual patient experience. And when we take feedback from students and from faculty regarding this virtual patient experience, it's one of the things that has been working really well. Why is it important for us? It's important because we all know that clinical training is very opportunistic. And in order to make sure that we standardize the learning and the training that students are getting, we really rely a lot on our simulation center, and we rely a lot on the virtual patient experience. Lately, the ministry has issued the Emirates Med's competency framework, and in that there is a list of clinical presentations that the students need to be exposed to throughout their curriculum. Of course, this will be implemented in the new curriculum that we will be implementing and launching from next year. But when we take a look at what we have been doing in retrograde with our students that are currently enrolled, and we try to map these clinical presentations, we see that we have been doing really well just by the presence of this virtual patient experience that they have been utilizing over the past few years.
Yeah, amazing. So one more aspect of technology that I think yesterday we were discussing was how to use this data of students' class progress and e-portfolios, and what type of analytics are you deriving from it. Let me talk about the predictive analysis that you are doing, and I think we were having a discussion on adaptive learning yesterday, which is amazing. Some platforms are offering that we can track weak students and we can track their progress. So, what would be the impact of this? Like, can we be policing the students each and every time? Is it worth, or we should keep an element of traditional policing there? So, which form of policing, I must say, is
I
better?
love this question, and I love this discussion. You know, you and I and many other people in this university, in this college, are having this continuous discussion. Do our students need to be policed? Yani, it goes against all we are saying about student directed learning, but we all know that our students are, especially in the early preclinical phases, they still need a lot of guidance. So I would jump into the conclusion, as my dear mentor Janet Grant has always been saying, there is nothing called student directed learning. Students should not direct their learning. Even when it's continuously online or completely online, it's still, learning needs to be directed by the college. So I will adopt this fair and square and say that out of all our experiences, students would love to take control of their learning, but we need to be able to direct whatever is happening with students. Now, coming back to the technology and utilizing technology to be able to police this or track student learning, it's a good option, of course, but as you and I have been discussing before, it works more if we are doing a completely distant learning program or a completely online program, which we do not have at the moment, or even courses that are completely structured that way. We don't have that at this moment, and as long as we continue to evaluate students using assessments, whether they be formative or summative assessments, I don't think there is a direct need to instill technology that does this for us, because at the end of the day, our policy for assessment controls how students progress throughout the program. So maybe this is my stand, and you will hear different, of course, if we put Dr. Shifan on the stand.
No, for me, the thing is that we can track, and the data is not lost, so we can have record over the years, which I think by traditional means, like, we cannot collect at one place. And one good thing, one beauty that I liked about some softwares or the learning platforms is that they track weak students by their social interaction, by their learning performance, by their assessment performance. And one amazing AI feature that I have realized now most of the platforms have, that they direct the learning material to students which they think the student should address. Depending on the level of students' participation, if it's like from scratch the student has to learn, videos will be directed to the student, learning material will be directed to the student, which I think in traditional form of policing or even mentoring we cannot do. So I think role of AI is going to be much advanced and of help. Looking at the generation we are dealing with, because they are fed technology and their concept of digital etiquette is different from what we understand. So I think as educators we should have a leap ahead from students in this.
So you bring me directly into the discussion that needs to always continue to happen, and I'll tell you why. I could sit here and tell you, so what about the human factor? What about the relationship with the faculty? What about the actual leap into, the actual dive into the student drivers for learning? What AI technology can be able to do this? And we could sit here and discuss this for 1,000 years. Or we can decide that we are both on two different sides of a correct spectrum for managing student learning. And this is where the core of my work has been for the past few years, working with what are the enablers for decision making in colleges and universities regarding decisions that are concerned with innovation. How do we make these decisions? How do we sit here on two sides of a table and yet be able to have this educated discussion and then decide either to go with your opinion, Shifan, or my opinion, if we consider that we are on two extremes of the spectrum? And somebody would say, let's just go halfway, midway between you and me, and the net result of this will be that we will miss out on the beauty of really indulging into AI, or we will miss out on the beauty of really indulging into the human factor of mentorship that we are speaking about. So what would be the situation here? I have a publication that I want to draw your attention to. I don't know if Dr. Shifan will be able to maybe pop it on the screen, or it's in BMC Medical Education, and it's called Model for Utilizing Distance Learning Post-COVID-19, using what we call the PACT model, and this is a cross-sectional qualitative study.
Yeah, I'll be sharing the link in the drop-down menu, so it's a nice read. I suggest that people should go through it. And
this suggests just very briefly how you can make decisions using what we call the polarity mapping technique. So when we use polarity mapping, it's more of accepting both opinions, because we should accept both opinions, because like I really admire AI. I really admire what AI can introduce into schools, what AI can introduce into assessment decisions or progression decisions, but I really do admire the other side of the spectrum as well, and the human value that it carries. Now, how do we make these decisions, and when do we decide to go with this, and when do we decide to go with this? And the short answer to this is there is no short answer. The short answer is you need to sit down and map and understand what are the upsides and the upsides of each, the downsides and the downsides of each, and then make your decision based on how much disruption you are willing to undertake in your university at this point of time, and how much acceptability there will be. What will be the drawbacks if we consider going directly into utilizing the information that comes out of the artificial intelligence realm, and what are the drawbacks if we decide to continue as we are? And what will entail these decisions? And these are what we call alarming factors, or alerting factors. These are the factors, signs that will cause alarm in the institution, that will tell me that we need to start using the other side of the story, or trying to introduce a little bit more technology. How we do this is something that we need to plan ahead. So we do not need to find ourselves on the verge of another COVID crisis in order to jump into technology. We need to do this in a planned fashion.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming at times, because so many softwares each and every day. Recently, generative AI, and the whole world is after ChatGPT. So the main concept of this podcast was that how the institutes and how the experts like you, Prof, decide that which part of the technology is really needed and which is overhyped. I did not see that much of an effect in ChatGPT. Like, it's just, it can be as an assistant in help in writing and creating, but there was a fear factor going on that it will replace everything, then exams will be hacked and everything will go on. But as you said, that there should be a human element actually controlling all these things. It's not that totally the intelligence. It's already there, right from our Siri or like our mobile phones in our hand. We are already in the hands of AI. It's nothing new or an attack that
and
is.
We're being tracked already.
We are being tracked already, so we know all the advertise and our data being shared at different platforms. So I think in conclusion, like, we know that there is a potential to transform the way medical education is being delivered. We need experts, especially in the field, and experts like you who decide and how much, let me say, what is the title that we need for each technology part, and what best we can use for the approaches.
Can I add something that we need as well? And we will also need a methodology to be able to make decisions. So in addition to what you have just stated, we need all those, and these people need to be guided by a methodology to inform decisions. So for example, in something like ChatGPT and the beauty that it has brought in, there are issues that can be overlooked. Like, for example, what is the ethical issues that are related to this? How much plagiarism will be, how plagiarism will be tested? Are we going to change our cutoffs for plagiarism now that we know that all our students are going on to use artificial intelligence to generate whatever assignments I mean, these are like educated decisions that need to be made by these experts continuously using specific methodology that honors our core values and the core values of the institution.
Sure. So I think it's a never-ending talk, and we have identified so many sub-branches we can discuss. I think each topic has a discussion related to it. It's a never-ending, and I don't think there's this one-size-fits-all solution to.
Absolutely.
So how much to digest, how much is palatable, how much technology is palatable. I think rules and regulations should be set at institute level. Like I mentioned, digital etiquettes should be there. How much and where we can accept and where we can ignore and where we can stop. Like it's in our hands still. This element is there.
Policies and procedures as well need to be in continuous revision. And you and I, we know that we're doing this annually, like taking a look at what we can accept and what we can change in policies. So it's a never-ending world of innovation, as we said.
Yes. So with this, I think we will conclude our podcast. Looking ahead for much fun-filled podcasts like this. Thank you, Prof. Summer, for giving me this opportunity to host you today. It was lovely talking to you today. Thank you, Prof. And
thank you, Dr. Shifan, for having me, and thank you for the amazing work. Thank you so much.